Is AI fully able to replace poster design? Honestly, I don't know. But today I picked 4 different fast food restaurants to make posters for to see if designers are even needed. Oh, and because it's AI, we're gonna be making all 4 poster campaigns in less than 1 hour. First thing I need to mention is which AI are we going to be using to design. Obviously there's a bunch out there, but today I'm going to be using Adobe's Firefly, mostly because it gives me the freedom to enter in a text prompt to go from text to image, but it also has these 2 options which are key, and it's called reference and reference. They're the same name, it's just one's a style reference and one's compositional reference. Basically one for the composition or the layout of the image and the other for the style, obviously. Okay, we're back on the shitty cam. Instead of just doing a time lapse, I'm actually gonna kind of show the design process of a couple ideas I thought of for each of the restaurants. However, if you look at my notebook, I already sketched. This is my second time recording this because the first time I forgot I was on a time crunch. Like that's the whole video. So to go over what I did, this literally only took 10 minutes. So I'm gonna say we're at 10 minutes. For McDonald's, I have the I'm loving it just in French fries that are like falling midair. Burger King, I went in the direction of their new kind of like slogan, which is you rule. So ruling and a king. I thought it'd be a good idea to have the Whopper burger, whatever, towering over the ground with like a crown shadow or something. That indicates that the burger is ruling over whatever like a king. For Wendy's, their slogan is "We got you." I don't think a single person knows that. So I'm gonna have it say "We got you," but it's gonna be written in the spilled soda where a cup is spilled on the table and it's supposed to be like, "We got you," because we can help clean you. It's like a support thing from the restaurant. And then lastly, we got In-N-Out, and I think In-N-Out is probably gonna be the most difficult because I can't naturally illustrate, plus that would take way longer than an hour. So I'm gonna take the regular like 50s retro style design and either generative fill around the outside of certain designs from their shirt or totally redesign it based off of all their shirt designs. Those are all the 4 different restaurant ideas. Again, that took me about 10 minutes. I didn't get anywhere because I forgot I had to do this in less than an hour. So we're starting at 10 minutes. So starting at 10 minutes, we now have 50 minutes to design, execute, and do the mockups for this project. Totally still able to follow that. But McDonald's was easily the fastest for AI to design, probably because it was the most simple idea or had the most clarity for its concept. I literally just picked a typeface that kind of already looked like French fries or shapes like that, and then threw it into Firefly with some scarily accurate results of these French fries falling. I only regenerated the images, I think, 1 other time, and that was pretty much all I needed, so easy 5 minutes. For Burger King, I thought the original kind of problem I'd run into is AI trying to get the shadow to actually look like a crown instead of like some random shape. However, I quickly realized the AI was insanely confused at getting the burger to be in the right and the shadow to be on the left. Apparently, AI doesn't know it's left from right either. So after numerous failed attempts and that clock scaring me like I was SpongeBob, I decided to split up the composition. Instead of the burger casting the shadow, it would just be the burger separate and the shadow alone, because Firefly also couldn't seem to grasp the concept of an edible burger. I even put a picture reference of a burger from Burger King, and it still wasn't giving me anything accurate. But I mean, it's Burger King, so I guess it kind of nailed it. And after legit 1 try of splitting up the composition, it made a burger that literally looks like a real photo of a burger. Moving on to Wendy's, and this was the most complicated concept and definitely took a toll on my time. I had to first find a typeface that looked similar to like spilled liquid or something squiggly, because I wasn't gonna edit all the forms of the typeface and all that. Then once I found the right font, I went and skewed it at the right angle to be on like a table, put it in Firefly, and damn, this took so long. The liquid kept inconsistently changing to look like coffee or ice cream or just any other consistency that wasn't a liquid like soda, especially with the cup in the top right just throwing everything off. So again, I decided to split up the composition like the Burger King poster, where the cup would be separate in the top corner and then the words written out in the spilled liquid would be on the left. And this actually helped a lot. Okay, so you know how that little timer in the bottom right corner, that's a thing? This is the part where I kind of forgot that was a concept of the video, because the more I kept doing this, the more I realized this poster specifically needed help with the boost in time. Don't get me wrong, this whole video could have been done in less than an hour, but then the posters would have looked like me when I was in high school. Underdeveloped. Basically, after I finished the whole Wendy's poster going in this direction, my girlfriend made a fantastic point, which made me go back and redesign the whole thing. Will, how many fast food restaurants have soda and how many fast food restaurants have Frosties? So best believe I went back and instead of having liquid spilled over, I changed it to a Frosty. Obviously, I think this was a massive improvement. It's a lot more unique to Wendy's and a lot more branded. But again, this is the reason why this did add on more time. Also, I'm gonna keep this timer going down here because I have no clue where we are right now. Lastly, we have In-N-Out, which I'm 99% relying on the style reference image to be what carries this entire poster design. All I had to do was just create the layout, like literal bare bones layout in Illustrator, because again, I'm a graphic designer. I cannot draw, but I really took inspiration from the different illustrations In-N-Out has on their website for like merch and posters and stuff. Even though I'm not actually hand drawing the design, I just wanted to kind of get the composition right about where things would be laid out, because there is a lot of actual like poster design for In-N-Out, and that's like the only visuals they really do. I originally didn't include the sign, which that's actually kind of counterintuitive because that's like what their whole thing is, but I didn't think the AI was able to like actually recreate that because that's too specific, and like I didn't think it would be known. So once the composition was done, Firefly scarily nailed the vintage retro 60s art style, except for all the cars and all the windows and the doors and like literally all the details that matter except the colors. Turns out in Firefly, there's also this button called generative fill. I had no clue what it did or like when it got added or what its features were. So I clicked on it because, you know, the timer doesn't really matter. And this was really interesting because you essentially can just go in and like scrub with a brush where you want to remove things or add things within the generated image you made. There is one catch though, and to put it like a high school essay conclusively, it sucks. The cars always came in at weird angles that didn't match the rest of the composition, and then sometimes the cars came in at whack sizes, like they were way too small or way too big compared to the circle that I had made with the brush, and then also sometimes the cars didn't even goddamn appear. So after what felt like forever playing around with the cars to try and build up this parking lot, I just started over. Yeah, again, with the time not being a concern anymore, I changed the composition to have the second palm tree in the back be the sign and just hope for the best and maybe a miracle could get the sign to generate as the real sign, which a miracle it did, because after 4 iterations, I literally had like 99% of the arrow sign in the back. And then I went and used Gen Fill, which I just taught myself, and then made the arrow from there. And thankfully, yeah, this came out looking really good. Okay, so AI made all the assets, and now I can pretty much put all the pieces together to be fully like complete poster designs. Ironically, McDonald's didn't really have anything to add besides the logo at the bottom of the page, fixing some of the shapes of the fries so the text was more legible, and then some of the lighting, and that was it. For Burger King, I just needed to get rid of the background of the burger to stand alone, place it in the actual top right of the poster, so it was over the shadow being cast all the way to the bottom left, which again, I don't even know how that crown turned out that good. That looked like perfectly how I envisioned it. Added the logo to the bottom right, and then as I'm sure a lot of you know, the current campaign for Burger King is, so I added that to the top left to keep that somewhat branding alive. After that Cooper Black text being added, I made sure to add a period so it was more empowering and had more class to the whole like vibe of the poster. And yeah, that was Burger King. So this again still took a large amount of time to pull off, but separating the cup and the text was smart in concept. But now I have to recreate the Frosty liquid from the cup connecting to the letters manually. Like I should have just done another composition and put it in Firefly, but I didn't think of that, and so I had to work a lot more in Photoshop. I don't know how much time this took. I do know I was sitting at the computer for 1 whole hour alone, just generating layer after layer after layer to get different looks of what consistency of liquid I needed to be under the cup, on the cup. Just I tried everything. I actually got pretty close within the first couple generative fills doing this, but it also had a gap in between the cup and the table, which was a larger gap than my YouTube subscribers to my Instagram following, so I had to keep retrying. Eventually, I got the right liquid texture consistency, and genuinely, I just tried gen filling after gen filling, layer after layer on top of each other. There was like 10 layers, just all trying to make the liquid and the cup seem like it's one real object. I added a Wendy's logo in the top right on the cup because branding, and then I added a napkin in the top left with the logo also on it because branding. That way the environment also matched Wendy's aesthetic because You wouldn't just go get food and get a drink without napkins or anything on the side. Finally, we have In-N-Out, which again, most of the work was done in Firefly, so this didn't require that much extra work in Photoshop. I fixed the arrow on the sign and distorted it so it could just attach onto the end of what I already had. I added the title onto the bottom of the sign, which, if you're wondering, In-N-Out just used Futura as their main font. So it's the same font that's on the moon. It's usually a space aesthetic for typography. Then added the name again on the top of the building because again, this is the 60s vintage style. There's typography everywhere. And lastly, I went to add a badge logo just to fit that more vintage retro style and put it in the bottom corner. That read their slogan, which is quality you can taste. And because it was founded in 1948, I added that as well. And then I walked away and came back and I absolutely hated it. So I just took the slogan and warped it slightly over the bottom of the illustration and then put the 1948 straight across so it was very easy to read. That way the typography isn't too prioritized, because if this was a real illustration, that would take a lot of work, and that amount of work should be the priority of this poster, because holy, that would have taken so long. But not for this guy. I can barely draw Shrek. So if you watched my last video about making a custom Monopoly board, which you should watch that if you're already watching here, and subscribe if you're new, by the way, if you enjoy these design videos. But I actually used Firefly to make the mockups for the project. Basically the exact same process as what we did in this video with the shape, layer, composition, and Illustrator, and then you put that in Firefly. But for some reason, when I tried doing that with this project, it didn't work at all, not even close. I think it's mostly because all the mockups for the Monopoly board were on a white background and they were single objects, so not an entire composition. Because I tried taking an image and then typing out what the image was, using that as a reference, and the quality was not there. So because of this, I didn't use this method for mockups. I ended up finding a couple mockups for the poster, like just regular free to download mockups. But because fast food restaurant environments is a really niche mockup to find, I ended up just looking for fast food environments as like images, and then I went and manually put my poster on top of the board, the poster, whatever I needed to do. Now the quality isn't great. That is one of the downsides, but considering this is, can AI replace poster design, and the only person that would realistically do this is a money-hungry business owner that would try to replace an artist with a bot, this wouldn't even be a regular problem. If you were an actual business, you would definitely have the budget to pay for a subscription for mockups or get access to better quality mockups because you're not paying the salary of the artist. Basically, it's okay. And if you disagree, then you're probably the business owner that would prioritize a bot to do your poster design instead of a real person. Now here are all the mockups fully done. This time, I don't know how long this took, but I counted around 3.5 hours for this to take. I have no clue what the corner timer says. But again, this took way less time than normal. This took under 10 hours. Normally projects I try to have take around 20 hours. I made the mockups themselves in different environments, but then I also made a mockup of all four together, so I can kind of show this as like a project if I were to put this in a portfolio. I had a lot of fun making this project, actually. I really didn't expect that, but this now leads us to the question, can AI replace poster design? And as of right now, hell no. I mean, even with the text prompt and the reference images, the AI still was confusing left and right and couldn't get anywhere near mockup quality. Obviously, this will improve very fast for the future, but I'm assuming that if AI is gonna actually design posters like 100% on its own in the future, I think it's gonna probably be a totally different process. Like in this video, I had to take apart my idea, put it kind of step by step for the AI to understand, and then at the end, put all the assets together myself. I think that will start to become more popular and kind of standard or normalized because you can get away with not having to do like a whole separate photo shoot or any photography. If you are an artist, I actually would highly recommend that you do know this information and learn how to incorporate AI as like a tool into your work. But I do think artists in the future will be replaced by other artists that know AI or incorporate it in their work, not AI itself. I definitely can't draw or photograph things like varying angles of spilled ice cream or fictional things like a shadow casted in the shape of a crown from a burger. 5 years ago, I would have needed an entire set with props to do anything I made today. But with using AI as a tool, I was more able to focus my imagination on the concept itself rather than kind of my technical skill of what I was capable of doing in Photoshop or if it was possible. As a last note, if you don't know how AI works, but you're refusing to learn, you're gonna be replaced. But if you do choose to learn how AI works as a tool, you'll start to recognize the areas and like weaknesses where, again, similar to me in high school, it's underdeveloped. Then you can go and create workarounds or solutions for what AI can't do at that time, and you'll still be a part of the project. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're enjoying these design videos, you find it interesting. I will see you in the next video.